from Los Angeles. Good morning, Royal Oaks.
Good morning to you. Yeah, and we've had a flurry of activity over the Trump administration's position. As you know, on Friday night, a federal judge in Seattle said, no, I'm not going to allow those two rules about the 120 days, no refugees, 90 days, nobody from the 7 nations like Iran and Iraq. I'm not going to allow that. A temporary restraining order is going to be issued. Then the Trump administration goes into court on Saturday, goes to the Ninth Circuit and says, toss that out, please. And the Ninth Circuit responds and says, no, we're not going to toss that. We're going to entertain briefs. And so this afternoon, actually, the Department of Justice has to file a brief by the Trump administration supporting the programs. And after that, we could actually get an order from the Ninth Circuit as to the status of this late today or later this week.
Royal, one of the judges, and I don't know which one, news is coming so fast and so furious, but one of them was almost comical in his comments saying, I don't understand what's going on here. I mean, he made it sound like, I don't know what the administration's trying to do here.
Yeah, it is tough to sort out the grounds for some of these things. The Trump administration is trying to put forth a very consistent, couldn't be clearer. It's the president's call. The president gets to decide whether an alien comes into the nation or not. But the response to that is, well, there are some statutes that limit that. For example, back in the 60s, there was a statute that said if you're going to set up immigration rules, you can't do it in a discriminatory way against the people based on their race or their sex and so on. So you got the two sides to that debate, but it is very difficult to try to sort things out. But that's what the lawyers are going to try to do in the next day or so. And, of course, if this temporary restraining order continues on, it doesn't mean it's a permanent death knell for the Trump administration. It just means that pending a hearing in a month or 2 months on whether there should be a longer-term restriction on the Trump administration, pending that hearing, the rules that were announced by President Trump a week or so are put on the shelf.
Okay, Royal Oaks, everyone says, I don't know how and I don't know when, but it's going to get to the Supreme Court. Let's talk time. The ban was only a 120-day ban, so this is going to take 6 years to get to the Supreme Court. What are we talking timeline here?
That's true. In general, it does chew up months or years to get something through the court. Here, I think, whether it's the Supreme Court or the Ninth Circuit or wherever, they're going to be motivated to move quickly. They've already started to move quickly. And so if it goes to the U.S. Supreme Court, it could be in a matter of weeks or days, and you could get a decision. As you say, that's going to eat up some chunk of the 90 or 120 days. Theoretically, though, the Trump administration could say, let's say they win, and in 19 days, they could say, okay, we're appreciative the judicial system has approved what we're doing. We're going to reset it, though. We're going to start the 90 and 120-day clock right now. That's an option for the Trump administration. At this point, I don't think that they're worried so much about exactly losing a few weeks. I think the Trump administration is just trying to figure out how to get this thing to survive when the U.S. Supreme Court has a 4-4 tie with 4 liberals. And if the Ninth Circuit goes against Trump, the only way he can change that and win is to get to the U.S. Supreme Court and have them vote for him. But if it's a 4-4 tie with 4 liberals who are not going to vote for President Trump, then it's as if they don't exist and the Ninth Circuit decision just maintains. And so we know the Ninth Circuit is a little left of center compared to some of the other circuits. So at this point, things might not be looking so good for the Trump administration.
But this judge was a Bush-appointed judge, and I know that only goes so far, but the fact that it was a Bush-appointed judge at least says that this isn't just an all-liberal idea.
Exactly right, and that did surprise some folks that a George W. Bush appointee at the trial court level in Seattle on Friday would have said no to the president. Now that we've moved up to the appellate ladder in the Ninth Circuit, of course, it's interesting. Normally they assign 3 judges at random out of their 20-plus judges. And because you've got over 20 judges, although in general they're left of center, you could get 3 very conservative judges on that 3-judge panel just by chance, unless they vote to have a majority of the entire Ninth Circuit rule on it. So it's a lot of inside baseball. Bottom line is we don't know whether we're going to get people who are on the bench who are critical of the Trump administration or if we're going to get folks who are friendly. We know the president isn't going to be shy. He's already referred to the judge who ruled against him on Friday as a so-called judge, and that's generated controversy of its own.
Royal Oaks, thanks for reading the tea leaves for us. ABC News Legal Analyst. Have a good week. Thanks.
You bet. Thanks.
The political side of this coming up in 8 minutes. Stephen Roberts, ABC News political analyst from Washington, D.C. That straight ahead. 7:43, Big 550, KT.